What was once a badass DC comic is now a television series produced by Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg, and Sam Caitlin. These are the dudes who brought you Breaking Bad and The Pineapple Express, so it's safe to say that the first season of Preacher is pretty awesome. If you haven't quite caught up on season 1, here's your spoiler warning, but hurry up because season 2 is coming up faster than a demon riding a comet. The show has everything. Demons, vampires, cute babes, and a guy who looks like his face is made out of a giant butthole. I'm Whitney Van Lanningham, and today we're gonna take a look at the craziest moments from season 1 of Preacher. Number 8. The beginning of the first episode of Preacher starts off with a bang. Literally. A preacher in Africa is giving a sermon on Revelations to his enthusiastic congregation when this happens.
I am the prophet. I am the chosen one.
I know it's a cheap pick because it happens within the first 5 minutes of the pilot, but come on, I never expected to see that level of blood gush. It looks like the contents of that guy's body could fill the entire elevator at the Overlook Hotel. Number 7. Later on in the first episode, we see an Irish guy named Cassidy gambling and snorting cocaine on an airplane with a bunch of rich guys. Lucky. But when Cassidy gets a case of the coke shits, he finds a marked up copy of the Bible in the bathroom that looks like Jim Carrey scribbled all over it in that shitty horror movie The Number 23. He realizes that the guys on the plane must have discovered his secret, confirmed when they all start attacking him with crossbows and axes and a bunch of other Slayer weapons that would have never made it through a TSA screening. Turns out Cassidy's a vampire, and to finish the job, he stabs the pilot in the heart with a champagne bottle to make a blood tap. Do that to maple trees in Canada, but what do I know? I'm not exactly Buffy over here. Number 6. The most messed up part of episode 2 is when Cassidy says this.
I'm a right-handed Sagittarius. I love Chinese food. I've never seen the Pacific Ocean, and I think that the Big Lebowski's overrated.
The Big Lebowski is a treasured classic, you ass fuck. Nah, but seriously, the craziest part of this episode is when Cassidy bashes this guy's head in with a Bible before dismembering the other guy with a chainsaw. In a church, without leaving a drop of blood behind when he's done cleaning. Tight. It turns out that those guys are angels and capable of regenerating themselves, so don't worry, Cassidy will totally kill them again. Number 5. This episode 3 scene is what would happen if Obi-Wan Kenobi and Charles Xavier combined their Jedi mind tricks and mutant genetics in a super murdery way. When that abusive son of a bitch Donnie attacks him in the bathroom, Jesse uses his newfound powers to turn Donnie's gun on himself. It's horrifying because you have to watch Donnie basically lose control of his free will and get really, really close to Kurt Cobaining himself. My other favorite part of this episode is when one of the angels hunting down Jesse is watching Tom Cruise's funeral in the Sundowner Motel, because Tom Cruise also exploded like that African pastor while trying to lead a congregation at the Church of Scientology. I bet David Miscavige was not happy about that. I wonder if he and Tom Cruise ever, make out with each other a little. But probably not. That's John Travolta's job. Number 4. When the angel phone finally starts ringing for Fiore and DeBlanc, they spend a lot of time rehearsing what they're gonna say when another agent of heaven confronts them for going on a rogue mission to Earth. When the seraphim finally catches up to them in episode 6, the two angels, Jesse and Cassidy, have to take her down to prevent her from finding out any more about that whole Genesis demon angel spawn thing living inside of Jesse. The fight then ensues as an epic battle of Looney Tunes proportions. But imagine Looney Tunes if Wile E. Coyote could immediately regenerate after every single time he got hit with an anvil and murder the Roadrunner, who could also come back to life instantly. Number 3. Odin Quincannon is kinda like the Gus Fring of the Preacher world, and his backstory is super fucked up. In episode 8, we learn that Quincannon's entire family was killed in a brutal accident on the ski slopes. When the line on their gondola snaps, his entire family is squished beyond recognition. The bodies are shipped back to Quincannon in boxes, which he rips open, only to find that all that's left of them are chunks of people pieces. Jesse's dad, the former preacher, walks in on him comparing his daughter's intestines to a cow's, which definitely made me want to be a vegetarian for a minute.
Which is my daughter? Which is the cow? Exactly. There is no difference.
Apparently, this is why Quincannon listens to cows being slaughtered in his free time instead of just getting a Spotify account like the rest of us. Number 2. When God comes to town in episode 10, the people of Anvil have tons of questions for him, including this one.
Can I get my dick back on?
It does turn out that God is a total imposter, so naturally the whole town freaks the fuck out. It's kind of like the reaction that the entirety of Oz would have had if Judy Garland wasn't on too many barbiturates. Number 1. When Anvil turns into a combination of the city of Las Vegas and the movie The Purge, all hell breaks loose. A group of kids murder the creepy bus driver, Quincannon builds himself a meat child out of his daughter's old parka and some dead cows, and Tom Cruise's ashes get launched into space. But the town truly meets its demise when the elderly man who checks the pressure gauges at the power plant decides to hire a hooker for a little ball gag action. Unfortunately, he dies, and the girl is forced to watch in terror as the methane alarms start going off. With the dead mascot swaying in the wind from the hanging tree, the entire town of Anvil explodes in a spectacular wave of dust. Blowing up the town was the best way that they could have possibly ended the season, and we're so excited for the road trip that's coming up in season 2. I can't wait for Preacher to return to the small screen, so talk to me in the comments about some of your favorite moments. Let us know what other shows' craziest moments you'd like us to review, and don't forget to like and subscribe.